Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's Partner Solutions session, ACCE Benefits Trust Solutions for the Unexpected. Before we get started, I wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. This is an express session, so we have about 20 minutes. We want to make sure that you have plenty of time to get to the speed meet and greet, which begins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All attendees are muted throughout this session, so please use the chat if you have comments or questions for our speakers. We will make sure to leave plenty of time for Q&A towards the end of the session, and we'll take as many questions from the chat as we can. This session is being recorded and will be available tomorrow on the event site, so please feel free to share it with your colleagues who may not have been able to attend. And with that, I'd like to hand things over and introduce our presenters. Today, we're joined by Adam Thorne from AGIA Affinity, Marcia Mathis from Principal, and Stacy Breslin from ACCE. Stacy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Amy. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending to Solutions to the Unexpected. When we often think about the employee benefits that we provide to our staff, we know they are recruitment tools, they are retention tools, but do we ever really think about what they're actually for or why we're giving these to the employees to begin with? As I go to the first slide, you're going to see some scary statistics, but I don't think, unfortunately, that they will be surprising to anybody. People are not ready for the unexpected emergency or the unexpected situation. We've got most people not ready for even 3 months of unemployment in this country. And those are some scary things, especially coming after the times that we just came out of with COVID. And if you think back even 10 years before that, the financial crisis of 2008 and 9. Marcia, I'm going to open it up to you, if you don't mind, and ask you, what did Principal see or experience out of their retirement plans during the COVID crisis?
Thanks, Stacy. It was a very interesting time, needless to say, for all of us. One of the most significant things that we see as a result, I'll talk about what was happening during it in just a second, but as a result, the overwhelming sentiment from plan participants is a feeling of lack of control. They expressed to us that their income was uncertain, their jobs were uncertain, the stock market was uncertain, and oh my goodness, where am I going to be when I come out of this on the other end? So a lot of the focus that folks like us have taken is helping people understand that they do have control over their futures, and we want to make sure that they know the steps that they can take. During the COVID situation, we did have a lot of folks that had to suspend their deferrals, had to miss out on some matching contributions that their employers were willing to make on their behalf. And now as we come out of it is an important time for people to realize we got to get back on track, need to step up. And now that we're fairly certain we have our jobs where they need to be, we need to go back and look at making sure that we're a bit better prepared for our futures.
Thank you. And with that, I'm going to forward us to the next screen. Adam, I know since you're not in the savings business, but the insurance business, what are some, we always think about these big national crises or international in the case of COVID, but on a day-to-day basis, can you tell us a little bit about the unexpected events that you see in your world?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're definitely hitting on a real truth there. I wasn't much of a Cub Scout, but one thing that stuck is that the difference between a challenge and a catastrophe is often being prepared. I think we do find that life comes at you fast, and like you said, this past year has been a real opportunity to recognize and see that. We see all sorts of things catch people by surprise. You can see a number of things on the list here, and it's often easy to go straight to the things that are upsetting, but not every surprise is necessarily bad news. I think one of the things that we see benefiting some of our insured the most is when you get some of those happy surprises, like an unexpected pregnancy. But the fact of the matter is that many of those surprises that life can throw at you have an impact either on your expenses or your income or both, and really making sure that you have a bit of a safety net built up for yourself that can catch you when you fall has been something that we've really had a chance to see the benefit of a lot the last couple of years.
Thank you. And Marcia, back to you. There's a few things down there on this list that don't necessarily affect the employees, but I notice could also be surprises for the employers. Would you like to touch on those for a bit?
Absolutely. With the amount of money that's held in retirement programs today, it is garnering a tremendous amount of oversight from different agencies within the federal government. Both the IRS and the Department of Labor have certain responsibilities to be certain that plan sponsors treat employees' money and contributions you make into their accounts with great prudence. We want to be certain that there isn't an uncertainty on the part of our participants that something might happen to that money. And that's one of the things that are causing regulatory changes, both from the Department of Labor and the IRS. So you may get, if you're a plan sponsor, you might get one of those friendly letters that indicate that you're going to be audited. And that's something you need to take very seriously. Audits can be easy or they can be very time consuming. So it depends a lot on how prepared you are for what might be coming down the path. So when you receive communication about your plan or things that are important to attend to, please don't set them aside because we want everyone to be prepared for the unexpected events. Also, the federal government is making some changes to retirement programs. There's some new legislation. You need to really stay on top of that. It's important to realize that some changes are required and some changes are up to you and voluntary. So it is critical to pay attention to things that come across your desk if you have a plan sponsor role. Some of the other things that happen are if your contributions aren't timely, that becomes an issue with the federal government on several different levels. If people don't get added to the plan in a timely basis, there's some issues that happen there as well. So we will all work together to try to spare you these unexpected events and some of the penalties, unfortunately, that go along with them. But you just need to stay alert and understand that we will send things to you that are really important, and to please take some time to look at them so that we don't have a catastrophe, as Adam said, down the path.
And Adam, I'm going to let you add on to that. Can you share any trends that you're seeing in the insurance side of things, whether they be regulatory or just at the employer level, that you might be experiencing or have been noticing over the past couple of years as it gets more and more challenging to attract and retain the quality candidates that an industry needs to propel itself into the future?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, attraction and retention are key words in what you're saying right there, right now. You know, I think all of us have seen how the very unusual impact of a pandemic and the kind of sudden start and stop to some of these economic activities have really made it challenging to find and bring on board good, talented workers. And I think if you haven't taken a look in some time at, you know, what are you really offering to those candidates? What's your pitch to them to make sure that they want to join your organization and importantly, stick around once they're there? Having good quality solutions for them for some of these issues that life throws at them is often an overlooked part of that pitch. I think if you can really tell somebody who's looking for their next job, not only, you know, do we offer competitive compensation, but we have your back in some of these circumstances that life might throw at you unexpectedly, that's meaningful. And employees are telling us that they're looking for not just a paycheck, but an organization that really prioritizes their needs.
And I love that word compensation, because again, that means many different things to many different people. You know, when we think about compensation, we're not just talking base pay anymore, as you alluded to, but we're talking about a full comprehensive compensation program that not only protects the employees now, but also in their future. I've listed a short list of the group term plans that we through ACCE offer, both through you, Adam, and you, Marcia. So thank you for your assistance with those, as always. You know, that these are sort of now, I think, skimming the surface of what a comprehensive compensation program might look like. But again, I think when we talk about that, we know that employers are getting creative out there. And this is now starting to be, unfortunately, the bare minimum of what an employer is going to need. If you offer these through your chamber employees, folks out there, that's wonderful. If you do it through us, of course, we like that even better. If not, certainly reach out to me. I'm happy to give you a consult. And Amy, with that, that is the end of our presentation. So if there is anybody out there that has any questions, I'm going to open it up to the floor. So we'll just give them a minute to, again, as a reminder, Amy said you could inquiry through the group chat. And I'll just give it a minute to see if anybody has anything. Okay, so the first question is, because they are group plans, is ACCE the group for a chamber who only has one to two employees? And the answer is yes. ACCE does represent the group on the entire list of products that you see here on the screen, whether it be the life insurance, short or long-term disability, dental, vision, the 401k, or the executive 457B plan. There is absolutely no size that is too small to join our plan, because we bundle all of you up into one program as a whole. So ACCE is the group. So don't let size ever stop you. I have plenty of organizations that are one employee only. They have one W-2 employee and they do participate in these plans. So certainly if you fall into that category, please send me an email, or you can even through our benefits trust booth, you can hit the schedule button and actually send me a 30-minute or 60-minute, depending on your needs, request for consult. That will actually go right to my calendar, so you can see my availability and just pick a date and time that is convenient for you. Thank you. We have another question. I'm actually going to not answer this one. I'm going to let both Adam and Marcia weigh in on this. The question is, do you have any idea how competitive the benefits through ACCE are compared to what we can get from local insurance brokers? So Adam, I'll let you take that one away.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's a great follow-on the question that we had just prior to this one, because the truth of the matter is that, your mileage is going to vary. If you're a larger chamber, if you have, a substantial payroll, dozens of employees, et cetera, I'm not going to be the person to tell you that in every single instance, your ACCE benefits quote is guaranteed to be a quote you might get for coverage, especially if you have a sizable payroll with you. But I do believe it's fair to say that, especially if you're a smaller chamber, and a lot of smaller chambers don't even necessarily have access to some of these programs based on the size of their own payroll as an employer-sponsored benefit. Those are definitely the instances where the benefit of being part of ACCE pay off the most, is where we can give access to those chambers who really can't get these products otherwise. But honestly, beyond that, especially depending on what state you're in and the size of your payroll, it really is something that we'd want to look at closely. We do regularly, from the carriers that we work with, push them at each renewal to ensure that we're providing the most competitive benefits that our group can support.
And Adam, just to put it into perspective, when you talk about large versus small employer, we're talking about a break point of easily 100 employees to break the large and under 100 employees to be small. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair, especially, depending on the product, but especially when you're dealing with, things like, disability, life, et cetera. The underwriting is benefited by having a larger pool to work with. And so it really is regularly to your benefit to be a part of the group and look more favorable as part of a large group of participants. But if you have 100+ employees, then you're probably in a space where, your opportunity to shop around is a little bit stronger.
And just for those that when Adam mentions that he and I shop around, we shop around over 4,000 participants in any one of these plans. So we more than clearly match up with the large employer, which is why I added on that extra question. Adam, one more thing I'm going to add on just for those. Can you talk about the benefit size of our programs, versus what most might be comparing to? Because I know sometimes when I'm talking to chamber executives, what the quotes that they're getting from their local carriers might be fairly common or similar to ours, but it's what's underneath the hood that really matters in ours. Maybe focus on the life insurance plan itself, please.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, but you and I both know that, especially when it comes to that life insurance option, life insurance is a very competitive space, but you do need to read the fine print carefully. Oftentimes, the things that make those other plans more affordable is that they're fairly stingy, for lack of a better term, in terms of how benefits are capped and have some pretty low benefit amounts that are available. Under the life insurance plan that ACCE offers, you actually have quite a bit more choice and can secure coverage up to a multiple of even some of your higher earning employees' annual earnings. So you're absolutely right. It's more than just a rate question. You really need to be looking not just at the rate, but what you're getting in exchange for that rate, and having that group leverage makes a big difference.
And I will add on, Adam, to tell the audience here that our two most popular life plans are the 2.5 life plan or the 1.5, both which have maximum benefits of 250,000, or I believe it's 150,000. If I've got that correct. I think I do on that second one. So again, a lot of won't even find in the marketplace anymore. They don't want to write policies that high for the prices that we're getting since these
Right.
some of these policies are 30 years old that are still up and running. Thank you for that question. Okay, Marcia, here's one for you. Sponsoring retirement plans.
Yeah. ACCE does serve as the plan sponsor for the 401k retirement plan, and that's really the beauty of how it's designed. They do take the fiduciary responsibility in terms of the investment selection and oversight. They also are responsible for maintaining the plan document that is up to date and continually looked at and reviewed in terms of compliance. They take responsibility for the audit. You may indeed get a few of your participants that need to be audited, but they are driving that. ACCE and the Benefits Trust team do an exhaustive amount of work to make sure that the plans are kept totally within compliance of all the laws, regs, and rules that are applicable to retirement programs. And all of that comes at a much more efficient cost because of the number of participants and the assets in the plan. They are bundled together for pricing purposes. So you have institutional investment share classes, access to lots of different options and lots of education opportunities, as well as information on websites and things like that. So yes, we assist ACCE and Benefits Trust to make sure that those plans are 100% compliant at every moment. And if there is a mistake found, then it's corrected, and we take care of that and work with your plan sponsor to make sure that everything is kept in order.
Thank you. And I'm going to add just one clarifying point, because you actually started out saying ACCE is the plan sponsor.
It's not. You're right. I started to correct myself there. Yeah, it's the Benefits Trust.
Don't know, has been around for over 70 years. It started in the 1950s, or about 70 years. They actually are a group of your peers, the trustees that make up that board. They make all of the decisions in order to ensure 100% bias or unbiasedness, and 100% that the choices being made or decisions being made are in the best interest of the plans as a whole. They work in partnership with ACCE, but it's always about what's best for the plans and the participants as a whole. So again, a very, very unique feature of this type of setup. Instead of ACCE making all the decisions for its members, it's the members making decisions actually for themselves. With that, I'm going to wrap it up. I thank you for your questions. And again, we wish you all a wonderful summit. And thanks again for attending. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.